Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame number 164, How Women Argue.
Mm.
Or how I learned that apparently if you are losing a debate uh, online, you can just say
Badly.
you were sexually assaulted, and that
Yep.
will basically just cause you to win. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're going to be looking at, well, it's like a reaction
To a
video
reaction.
that we're going to be reacting to from
Well,
a,
he
yeah, go
also
ahead.
could he did a nice compilation of this particular
Yeah.
fracas, and so he covered it pretty well. I just think that he doesn't necessarily have the insight into what's happening exactly that I think that we will bring. We'll
Yeah.
bring the heavy hitting, deep insight into her behavior and why she's doing what she's doing. And before we get into that, and this is okay, so this basically the argument is between. You're gonna have to help me on the name if you remember
Well,
it.
look, what happened was there was
All right.
a should we, because this guy's going to introduce it in the video, so
Okay. I mean,
we
well, we
can
could just go with.
like elaborate
Yeah,
what we
sure.
can
Let's
just go off of
just
what
let
he
him.
says. Yeah,
Let's lean on him,
but
our unofficial third badger.
before that,
Well,
you
I was
should
gonna give him an
probably
intro and then
thing
do that. I
you
was
should
gonna.
probably
I
thing the
was
things first. Yeah.
okay. All right. Fine. We'll think the things first. So if you want to send us a message at any point throughout the show, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And I'll leave it at that one because I want you guys to send these messages in and ask questions, make comments, etc. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. I'll do the rest of the things at a later point throughout the show, but I think that's the most critical. Send your comments there. Best way to send us your comments because we know where they go. Sometimes it's a little mysterious on the other platforms. And you get we get the full benefit of the funds, and you don't have to deal with the vagaries of the YouTube comment system. Let's just put it that way. All right, so feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Get those comments going. Okay, let's do the intro then.
Okay, let's play the intro.
That's exactly what going on this podcast felt like. I've done debate for 9 years, so I know things could get heated. That wasn't debate. That was assault. I felt like I was sexually assaulted.
This might actually be the most unhinged TikTok meltdown I've ever seen, and that's saying something.
All right, so she was sexually assaulted in a debate. I didn't see an assault take place, but yeah, that's what we're
okay. And
that's what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about. I'm just completely blanking on her name. Do you remember her name, Brian?
No,
she's very internet
Crash
famous
Out
at
something. She's like, her name is like Crash Out something.
Crash Out Christie, I think.
Yeah,
but that's not
Christie,
actually
like
her
that.
name. That's not actually her name.
Oh, well, I don't know.
I had her damn name. I mean, she's super internet famous, guys. Super internet famous.
It's Kylie Brewer.
Crash Out Kylie, not Crash Out
Crash Out
Christie.
Kylie. Yes, Kylie Brewer was a TikTok feminist influencer. I guess I didn't know that was I mean, I know it's a thing, but I didn't know that she was like a big deal. And she went on the Whatever podcast. She was paid to go on the Whatever podcast and debate Andrew Wilson.
Andrew Wilson. Yes. he's definitely the name on everybody's lips lately. And he's got the full femosphere trying to get him into their sites for
they're all making all kinds of crazy allegations against him. Yeah,
trying to hope something sticks. And he's actually, insofar as the because it seems like there's always sort of a new face of the manosphere. I don't know if he's become the new face of the manosphere, if he's going to dethrone Andrew Tate.
I think it's he's like a different.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, there's like, you got Cobra Commander, but you also have Destro and Zartan and you know, Tomax and Zaymot. You have different high rank Serpentor. You have different high ranking manosphere figures. Andrew Tate is a different kind because he's like the, you know, rich guy, fast cars, smoking cigars, like this kind of hyper machismo image. And Andrew Wilson is like a very paleo conservative, you know, has a wife, they have kids, and so it's a different he's a different kind of enemy. He's a different monster, So
different monster of the week. But
different
they're definitely gunning for him. So let's because this must be like the third scandal, like quasi scandal that he's been involved in in the last like couple months.
The definition of scandal means I said something that feminists don't like. That's all it takes.
Exactly.
To be like the center of a scandal. Just say something that feminists disagree with, and that makes you enemy number one, basically.
Yeah. So anyway, so this channel that we are responding to is Brad versus everyone, and I think he's got more of the normie side of this particular argument kind of take. Pretty baseline. Generally going into these fights, he looks a little confused by what's going on and how insane it is. But we can bring a little bit of insight based on my analysis of female psychology, and which I've laid out in threat narratives. If you're interested in that, you can go to @GenderAddict on YouTube. I don't know if YouTube will show you it. You might do a search on threat narratives. I don't think YouTube serves up my content, but it should be. If you do Gender Addict plus threat narratives, you can probably find it. And that lays out how women engage in argument, basically, because they don't engage in logical or rational argument. They make assertions, and then if you disagree with them, they bring out a gun and say, no, you don't. Basically, that's what they do. They just bring out the social annihilation weapon, and they're like, yeah, well, now do you agree with me? And most men are like, yep, yes, ma'am, I do. And then that's the end of that. But Andrew Wilson's like, no, ma'am. And she's like, I was raped. So just tries it harder. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll bring that analysis to this, because I think as much as I think that he didn't do too bad in terms of his analysis, at least from a male point of view, and I don't mean that as like to be snide or condescending, but I think men don't see this particular realm of argumentation clearly a lot of times, because they're looking at it in terms, okay, what's the actionables? What's the reality? What is the final line? What's the final conclusion? What's the logic? Where are the facts? And women are like, where's my power? Where is your compliance to my authority? And that's what they focus on. So it's two different, it's like ships passing in the night. But anyway, so let's
exchanging glances. Sorry, that was you quoted moonlighting. Do you remember? Anybody remember moonlighting, or am I dating myself? I'm totally dating myself.
Yeah, I vaguely remember
ships in the night, exchanging glances. It was where Bruce Willis got his start. Anyway, I'm sorry. He did a TV show. He did a TV show called Moonlighting. Very funny. It was a really funny and really clever show. But anyway, look, I digress. Let's get into this. Okay. So Brad Palumbo.
First, we're going to talk about a moment that's going mega viral and a kind of saga, kind of a fallout from something called the Whatever Podcast, which is a dating and gender podcast hosted by someone named Brian Atlas. It's kind of associated with the like red pill movement, so kind of like a pro-men, some would say anti-women. I'm not normally a huge fan of this podcast because I think the conversations that take place on it sometimes can be interesting, but are often pretty vapid. They often bring on professional debater men to go against random Instagram models or women off the street, and it does.
This troubles him.
Is Andrew Wilson really is professional? Is there such a thing as a professional debater? Like, really?
Well, professional, no, but I mean, I guess like there is such a thing as like sort of like highly regarded debate, like the Monk debates or Oxford debates. But Andrew he's never been on those. But it doesn't really matter. It's not only him. I think what Brad is trying to say, and I'm going to try and be charitable, is that he believes the Whatever Podcast is slanted against the women, because you get a bunch of women who are trying to be internet famous. Usually they have OnlyFans accounts. And they go on there to promote themselves and be seen, because it is like a way to get seen, and they use it to promote their brand. And then there are men who they bring on, and sometimes other women. They've definitely had other women on there too that are dissenters against this kind of like lifestyle that these other women promote. And those men and women that go on there to be like the voice of dissent, they are usually a lot better equipped to make the arguments, because usually the argument from the, let's say, the 304s that go on to whatever podcast, and I'm just saying that for the sake of brevity, is just simply like, hey, it makes me happy and I'm free, you know, and like, that's the only argument they have. And so they bring on people to basically say, well, you know, yes, that's true, but have you considered, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever? And a lot of times these women haven't. So is it, I don't think it's the problem that he has essentially is that he feels, and a lot of people have said this, that it's like unfair to those women because they don't have like, you know, a heavy hitter on their side. But the problem is that their ideas don't really, they don't really have someone who could be the heavy hitter. And a lot of women go on there for them to go to bat for these chicks, and they are considered to be heavy hitters, but they always lose. So it's like one of these things where it's like, well, if one side has bad arguments and one side has good arguments, is it really unfair that the side with bad arguments lose more often? Like that, I mean, you know, so
this is a very bizarre sort of approach to take that this man has. I don't know if he moderates
it's like he thinks
later.
that there is in some part of the world there's a podcast that is ultra balanced and fair to both sides of whatever this discussion is, and that like they more often than not they just sort of like they find themselves in a stalemate. It would be like if we had a show and we had men's issues advocates and feminists come together and they would debate, and if the MRAs always won because they have the better ideas, this guy would be like, well, it seems like it's slanted against the feminists. It's like, well, no, maybe they have shittier ideas.
Yes. Yeah. Have you considered, Brad? Have you considered?
Maybe they're wrong.
That
I don't know.
One side consistently fails because they haven't done the work. And if they did do the work, they'd be on the other side because their positions have no grounding in logic or fact. And I was listening to what you said and I was thinking, so essentially these women come on and their only position is it makes me feel good. And yet the other side can even argue that because they can say SSRIs, rates of depression, rates of anxiety, and neuroticism are all higher on your side.
Well, so they have brought that up. That's what I'm saying.
We've given women control over their lives, and we've said, just make yourselves happy, and they can't even do that.
Yeah, and I think I also think it's unfair. And look, I just don't like it when people are misrepresented. I think the Whatever podcast is a lot of different things. The problem is that all the clips that go viral are clips of women crashing out and crying and like leaving the show because they didn't like what the men said. And so because those are the ones that go the most viral because of gynocentrism, by the way, then that's what people think the whole show is. And I don't think it's fair, you know, because they like, it's like what they say about Andrew Wilson. All you do is debate, you know, thoughts online. He's like, no, he's debated lots of different people on different subjects, but his debates against thoughts online are the ones that get the most eyes on them because there are women involved and everybody wants to know what he's doing to the poor women. That's why it goes viral.
Yeah. Okay, let's listen to a bit more.
All right.
Doesn't really feel like a fair fight or super interesting or substantive. And then the whole thing is supposed to be like railing against like modern women or whatever. Yet it's basically used as a platform for these women to promote their OnlyFans. So I'm not a huge fan of the podcast, but
yeah, but that's their choice. That's another thing too. Like, I mean, like they go, that's why you can't really feel too sorry for the girls who go on there because they are going on there to promote their OnlyFans or their brand or their Patreon or whatever. And so if they go on there and they end up like leaving there teary-eyed, like, and then like you got people coming up and saying, don't do that to those women, those poor women, they weren't ready for what you said. It's so infantilizing, and yet they're still going to make bank on their OnlyFans. So like, you know, it's crazy. Like they get what they want either way.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly don't think that appearing on it constitutes rape or sexual assault, yet that is actually the claim that one feminist guest, a TikTok influencer who went on the podcast, is now making. And guys, this woman's name is Kylie Brewer. She is a self-described queer leftist feminist who teaches anti-racism and has over 100,000 followers on TikTok. Let's look at her first video on TikTok complaining about this situation.
All right, I'm just pausing there for the banana, just playing it safe. Okay, this is Kylie, whatever.
My name is
Kylie Brewer.
I'm harassed by men so severely online that I'm thinking about giving up. Misogyny has always been really bad as a feminist content creator, but especially because I talk about intersectionality, which means I'm often talking about the systems that uphold white supremacy and racism in the US, which pisses off a number of uber racist white supremacists. About 6 weeks ago, I was misled by some men, and they ended up having me on a podcast that turned out to be Red Pill. I don't want to go into the details of it because it was honestly like the most traumatic experience of my life and really horrible.
Really?
And I am scared of these people.
The bar of trauma is so low.
Yeah.
I lost an argument. It was the most traumatic experience of my life.
Okay, so you're basically establishing what misogyny is for you, because I know misogyny is a moving target. It seems to be redefined for every single woman who asserts it. It's whatever she dislikes. I mean, I would like to petition that my definition of misogyny be the one that's enshrined into social law or whatever you want to, which is the automatic association of women with victimhood. Right. And that the whole idea of believe all women is the automatic association of women with victimhood. Me too. Automatic association of women with victimhood. All of the feminist initiatives to frame domestic violence and sexual assault as something that women face and men don't. Automatic assumption of female victimhood. And yeah, I think that's misogyny, because it actually removes a good portion of women's sense of self. And ironically, I think that's where a lot of their insecurity and existential angst that's causing the aforementioned SRI use and need for therapy, avocado toast therapy, and constant depression and anxiety and neurosis is coming from, is that fundamental lack of a sense of self, right? That's something that's inherent to illnesses like borderline personality disorder, not a strong sense of continuity between your actions and their effects. So the world just becomes chaos, which is a very insecure position. And like I said, I think that's where a lot of their anxiety is coming from, not from patriarchy, but from the things that they're doing to themselves in terms of making themselves out to be victims in every conceivable circumstance. And I know that they do it in every conceivable circumstance, because if there is a circumstance in which feminists or women who are feminist adjacent start making themselves out to be a victim, and I go in and I say, hey, I don't think you're a victim as a woman, I immediately become person non grata. Well, the pick me anyway. So nobody can challenge this without being socially ostracized. So this is a negative spiral with no breaks. This constant, how am I being acted upon by the world instead of how do I act upon the world? So you just become a helpless leaf in the wind. Okay.
Yep, that's the point.
People, so I would prefer to not go into more detail. But I then became a meme known as Crush Out Kylie, which here's a photo, but they sent their hundreds of followers onto me to leave hate comments and say report my account until it was removed on Instagram.
Was it hate comments? I'm sorry, Allison. I'm going to take it a little step further. I don't think misogyny exists. I don't think any kind of bigotry exists. I think all of it is a tool used to control people's behavior and to essentially try to convict them of crimes that cannot be substantively measured. So the only thing we should be focused on is right or wrong. That's it. Because when you get into the muddy waters of misogyny, then you have to define it. Then you have to figure out what it means. I'm not doing that. I'm done with all of this. I'm done with white supremacy. I'm done with racism, misogyny, homophobia, all of it. It's all bullshit to me. I'm done with it. That's it. So it's just a form of control. But that's what I
just want to point something out here. All right, let's go back like about 20 seconds. So I think this is
20 seconds.
Like we'll start with the green, the ridiculous green. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
meme known as Crush Out Kylie, which here's a photo, but they sent their hundreds of followers onto me to leave hate comments and spam report my account until it was removed on Instagram. For child.
Wait.
They do this.
Child porn?
For child porn.
Okay, so
like what? But wait a minute.
We're supposed to take her word for this. Okay, that she wasn't engaging, like when they came over to do their hundreds of hate posts, that they were indeed hate posts, and somehow Instagram targeted her for removal for child porn. There are some steps missing here.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that if there was a report on her account, that Instagram would have investigated it before they did that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and if it's a false accusation, no, it's not great. There should be.
Were you sharing that famous book by Andrea Dworkin about? Is that the one about sexualizing boys?
No, that's
Dworkin wrote, or am I thinking with Julie Bindel? Jermaine Greer. Sorry, I get my political lesbians confused all the time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't know if Jermaine Greer was a political lesbian. I think she's like a political cougar. But she might have been sharing that book, or she might have been engaging in something that was a little bit noncy, and suddenly a whole flood of people who didn't like her came in and said, "Wait a second, this is against the TOS." Right? We've had that experience, not specifically that. We've had bad faith interpretations of us breaking the rules, and what's really happened is we came, I guess, too close to a rule that could be bent to be seen that we broke it. So, for example, we showed video of a man being molested during a concert. It was a singer being molested by a fan during a concert. And we did that in order to raise awareness of men being molested. And YouTube said, nope, that wasn't, you as a channel that has talked about male victims of sexual assault for 15 years, you didn't do that to raise awareness. You did that to share it salaciously. And then we got a hit for that. So we've experienced stuff like that. We've experienced reinterpretations of rules in order to slam us with this, that, or the other. But I don't know how you can reinterpret sharing child porn. Maybe take the L and just disappear from the internet, Kylie, on that one. I mean, you think that'd be a really easy thing to investigate?
Well, or humble yourself and say, oh, maybe I was wrong about all this. Like that's all. That's all. It's so freeing. It's so freeing, guys. Just humble yourself and then seek the truth. Yeah, it's liberating. Like in a real sense.
You're flawed. You make mistakes. And I'm stubborn. It's hard for me to take responsibility for crap. But usually it does feel better if I've done something genuinely wrong and I'm not being dogpiled on by a bunch of bad faith actors, then take responsibility. Say, I did that. It was bad. I'll try not to do it again. I mean, I'll do it. I will not do it again insofar as it's within my ability not to. Sometimes, like I said, the aforementioned YouTube strikes, there was nothing we could have done to prevent them because they were bad faith. But if it's within your realm of improving your behavior, apologize and improve it, because the apology is meaningless unless you do. But apparently, whatever podcast haters came to her Instagram account, and then somehow she got banned for posting child porn. Like I said, there needs to be some more steps there.
I feel like we're missing a little bit of context.
I feel like we're missing a bit of information here.
Did you skip a season? You shouldn't skip seasons.
or a finale.
Removed on Instagram for child. They do the same thing, so that my content has been censored, is not appearing on people's For You pages. I've become a target for them, for incels and red pill people. So if you see this, if you could just let me know, because I'm really close to giving up. And
Can I make you a target of something? Could you
ahead.
Stop with the vocal fry and just have a little enthusiasm for your life?
I'm just a girl. Just little old me.
I'm just a girl.
Dude, she has to talk like that. It's like part of her programming. So I want to show the link that she shared here because she's making a claim. It says online harassment has severe repercussions for those who experience it. It can affect people's mental health and well-being and lead to anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Online harassment often has the express purpose of forcing the person to abandon the internet or take down their content.
Yeah.
Well,
Welcome to
I
the
don't know,
internet.
man. I think that you can, you know, what is it that Tyler, the creator, used to say? Just close your eyes.
Yeah.
Just get off the internet. Like, if you need a break,
Yeah.
take a break, you know?
Yeah, go play with your dog. But okay, so the reason why they do the vocal fry is because it makes them sound tired and exhausted, which is a vulnerability. That's what it is. It's just an affectation of vulnerability. She's just saying, "I'm so weak, guys.
I can't
Save me.
this anymore.
I can't even. I just got somebody has to come in and save me. Save me."
My
That's
life is
basically
a
what she is.
nightmare. It's that. It's felt.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
This is how long we've been doing this. Felt.
Oh God, I'm having flashbacks. Ugh. Felt.
What a terrible movie. Okay.
So if you see this, if you could just let me know, because I'm like really close to giving up and I've been doing this for 2 years. This has been my dream.
Yeah, you're not.
So
this is your dream?
Everything about
When you were
Online
born,
internet
before the
content?
internet happened, your dream was you were like 5 years old, and your mom said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And you were like, "I want to be on TikTok and influence people towards feminism." They were like, "What's TikTok?" Okay.
Do you know what I wanted to be when I was like, I don't know, 8, 9? I wanted to be a marine biologist, like every fucking girl.
And Jotaro.
And Jotaro. But it's you wanted to make content on the internet? You wanted to be an internet content creator. Like that's not just the thing that you just do when it's just you just I don't know. Everything else fails and you just end up doing that. This is something people aspire to. That just blows my mind. Okay. All right. Good Lord.
Should I play from here, or do you want to hear his reactions to this, or let's
yes,
just keep going.
yes.
Let's just keep going.
I'd like to get the pulse of the normies.
And absurd if you know a little bit of the context. First of all, she's complaining about being censored and my videos aren't being shown on the For You page. This video has 1.1 million views. I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know what happened with her Instagram account. I did look and see that it's still suspended. And if that, for whatever reason it's suspended, is from like trolling and spam and she didn't actually do anything wrong, then of course I don't support that. But I don't know exactly what happened there. I do know the hosts and the other guests definitely.
Yeah, you know the shell of what happened, dude. The haters came to her channel and apparently spam reported her, and she got caught with child porn or something. Like she did something that was child porn adjacent, or could be misconstrued as child porn. Like maybe if we are very charitable, misconstrued as child porn. I don't know what could be misconstrued as child porn. Maybe she shared, I don't know, blogger.
Well, I think she's trying to like say that whatever it was like really absurd. It's possible that trolls, but again, I don't know. It's possible that trolls just made that up.
She would have to retweet something, and if she's like retweeting it and saying, "I don't like does Instagram have no sense of context?"
I don't know.
Like there's not enough steps in here. There's not enough steps, and
no, obviously not.
Obscuring it.
I don't think that he is.
Yeah, well, he's basically saying, "I don't know what happened," and I'm like, "Well, you know, a couple things. Haters came. She alleges that they mass reported her, and she got for child porn. Right? Those are the things we know. And there's a lot missing." And he's like, "Well, you know, if she was mass reported for insert nothing, he's not repeating what she was mass reported for, is what I'm saying. Right. Probably because it reflects badly on her."
if true. But anyway,
if true.
At her banned. At least I've seen no evidence of that. And they're not necessarily responsible for what random viewers decide to do afterwards. Also, like, side note, I find it hilarious that she says, oh, just white supremacists don't like my content because I teach anti-racism or whatever. Actually, she posts like ridiculous, absurd race baiting content that
yeah, that's what anti-racism is. It's absurd race baiting content.
What are you expecting?
Yeah. That's what are you looking for? Like a Martin Luther King quote? Because that's not anti-racism. That's anti-racism is active racism against white people. That's what it is. Just say it.
Fascism. I think Martin Luther is fascism now because he's like judge them by
Martin
the
Luther
content
King,
of their character.
Yeah.
And that's far right fascism now.
Yeah. That's what it means when you say, oh, she's supposedly I see unhinged content, but she says it's just anti-racist. No, you don't understand anti-racism. You should read Robin DiAngelo or Ibram X. Kendi. That'll give you a better idea. Bell Hooks was like an old school feminist from the 70s, I think.
Lots of people object to who aren't racists or white supremacists because it's absurd and condescending and probably ignites racial tension where none actually exists. Here's a little sample of that.
Hi, this is just a reminder that hustle culture is white supremacy. Prior to colonization, there was no structured idea of time in the sense that we have.
I also find it funny.
Hustle culture is white supremacy. Going to work on time is white supremacy.
Does she know how old the idea of time is? Like, if we go back far enough, I'm pretty sure the Sumerians had a concept of time. Does that mean we're all Sumerian colonialized?
Typical colonizer speak, Allison. I will not have any of it. You're just covering for white supremacy and patriarchy because they're basically the same thing.
Northern Europeans didn't invent time.
Yes, they did. I don't know.
I'm going to find out who invented time.
Actually, yeah, I think if you go to the Smithsonian Institute proves it, because you can go to the Smithsonian, they'll tell you that time is a white supremacist construct. So
really,
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. The Smithsonian did say that.
Which culture invented time? While the concept of time itself is likely inherent, the Babylonians and Egyptians are credited with being among the first to develop methods for measuring and organizing time. The Babylonians and the Egyptians. So we were all colonized by an ethnicity that probably no longer exists. How are we to blame them?
Obviously, you don't understand how deep the rabbit hole goes. Richard Bier gave us a super chow for $10.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. And he says, in the live action movie of Lily and Stitch, I think you meant Lilo and Stitch, the older sister who wants to be a marine biologist actually tells Lilo that she needs to go into foster care so that the older sister can go to college. Yes. What is that? That saying from Lilo and Stitch? It was like, Ohana means family. Not anymore. Not anymore. Ohana is basically another thing in the way of female empowerment. So go to foster care, bitch. Anyway, thank you, Richard, for that. Yeah, you ever see Lilo and Stitch, Allison?
Yes. Okay. I was looking up the Babylonians versus the Sumerians. Tell me more about what's going on with Lilo and Stitch, because I thought it was a very charming movie.
The original one, the original was cute, but they made a live action remake and they changed one of the primary moments in the film. In the first one, where the little girl says Ohana means family, and like that's sort of like because she wants to keep Stitch. I think I only saw the movie once, to be honest. And then in the remake, that doesn't happen. In the remake, the older sister says, I gotta go to college, you gotta go to foster care. So Ohana doesn't mean family anymore. So they because like otherwise you're gonna be in the way of this woman who's going into STEM to like make it. And we can't have that, because if little girls see a girl that cares about family more than her girl boss career, well, women aren't going to go into STEM. So
and get huge debt that they'll never pay back.
Yeah. So they changed it. They changed it for the message, basically. Just another thing on the sacrificial slab. to be
Oh,
stabbed.
now it's trad. Actually, all family is trad. Even found family is trad. Any connection between one human being and another that isn't mediated by corporate fiat is trad.
It hasn't
So,
been
if you have a
deconstructed
friend,
sufficiently enough. That's why.
if you have a friend, that's traditionalism. If you
Yep.
if you like another human, hell, if you like another creature, if you have a dog, that's traditionalism now. There you go. Nobody should have affection for anyone. That should be taxed. So somehow we need to make money off of that. If people enjoying each other's company and enjoying the dopamine rush of, well, is it a dopamine rush? Maybe a dopamine drip of actually being friends or having romantic interest or having any kind of pleasurable interaction with another human being. My God, that's a source. That's a free source of dopamine, and it probably has something to do with global warming too. We got to tax
Absolutely. Absolutely. Captain
that.
Planet told us can't have too many kids. But anyway, all right, so let's keep going. Thank you for the super chow, by the way.
That she objects to being depicted as Crash Out Kylie, but yet chose to upload multiple Crash Out videos to TikTok.
That's pretty.
And
That's
on a
pretty
more
tame.
serious note,
Yeah, that's not. I wouldn't call that a crash out, but
Be me object to being
it's
called
just
angry.
like hearing like patriarchy and white supremacy and like capitalism and all this bullshit like being blamed for everything in the world, everything, even things that are not at all harmful, like time. That's not a crash out. That's just normal. Like, where have you been? Like, this is like 2014 arguments. Where have you been, dude? This has been going on forever. Okay.
Yeah, and
Anyway.
it's just been getting worse.
Yeah.
Like they just want to, they want to get rid of any concrete concept and replace it with a pure like vibe. And they just want to vibe for the rest vibe for the rest of existence. Everything is emotion, everything is immediate, everything is now. Nothing is the future. Nothing is, oh shit, my camera is
Did your
screwing
camera
up.
freeze? Oh shit. Wait. They
Yes,
can
it
still
did.
hear you though.
Okay, let me just see if I can get this crap started again.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, let's listen to more of him while I'm
I'll
working
play
on
more
that.
in the meantime.
it is ironic to me that a feminist content creator would so deceptively portray herself as a victim and as lacking agency when that is not in fact the case. So she has produced no evidence that she was misled about the nature of the podcast. And if she only found out that the Whatever podcast is a red pill podcast once appearing on it, then that is her fault. All their episodes, all their debates are publicly available. Many of them have millions of views. And if you did not do the basic diligence to...
But it's not ironic because the goal is to be the victim. That's like directly in line with feminist thought. Like so she might have known, but it's okay for her to play like she does. Like, why did she go on there? She was paid to go on the Whatever podcast to debate. She knew what it was. She had to. Alton, are you back?
No, just keep going. When my video is back, then I am back.
Okay.
Look up what media program you were appearing on, see what it's like. The tone and tenor of her appearance wasn't really that different from any other segment I've seen on there. It is hostile, it is rude, it can be crude, but it's what she signed up for, and it's a debate, a political debate. Here's an actual clip from the show.
How is it like what does that mean, rude? Like I think like are we at the point now where if you are, because I think that there's a Alexander Grace made a video actually that goes up with what I've been saying for a while, that the way that men and women communicate is different. And the way that when men communicate in earnest with other men, no one sees a problem with it because of the way that men communicate. But when men communicate in earnest with women, or just like in our like larger society, because I think our whole like society is more feminine oriented in terms of its communication, it's seen as rude, but it's not. And Alexander Grace made a video about the way that men and women communicate. It's kind of a recent one, which I thought was good. And I don't even really think, I mean, is it crass? Sure. But like those girls on there, they're pretty crass too. Like they're cursing and, you know, they're foul mouth and they're calling each other names. And, you know, because they're like, I mean, a lot of them are, like I said, they're prostitutes or strippers or something like that. So they act that out. They're 304s, a lot of them, not all of them. And so like to say, oh well, you know, you knew that it was rude. It's like, is it though? Like, or is it just guys being honest with each other? Like, you know, like I don't think it's entirely fair, again, to describe the way men communicate as somehow like let's say more in a more negative or pejorative way, to see that, because that's really all it is. Like, it's just the way men communicate is different from the way women do it.
Yeah, no, and you're right, because men prize, like women seem to prize a feeling, a vibe, and men want truth and facts, because truth and facts are actionable. And you can sort of see why that would be, because women are evolutionarily keyed to lay down the emotional habits of very young children. So you don't want to expose young children to the extremes of human existence. So women tend to want to keep it vibey, you know. And so I'm not sure if they're able really, but to keep conflicts more
That's
obscured.
What it is. They want to like, essentially they engage in conversation to keep, but their goal is to keep things more safe, and they're more agreeable, and they're more likely to be like, oh, you know, if a girl says something they disagree with, like, well, you know, I see where you're coming from, but, you know, have you considered, like, you have to like work a long way around to get to something of substance. And men just are like, look, let's just get down to the nitty gritty, right? And women find that, and again, I'm speaking in broad strokes, I know, but women would generally find that like more, let's say, anxiety inducing, like, oh my God, you're just saying that, you know? And men are like, yeah.
But on the other hand, like I've always found female dominated spaces to be extremely stressful, because it always feels like I'm walking on eggshells.
Yes.
And the ultimately what happens is that you have to conform to whatever the dominant woman's opinion about things is. And of course I don't. Like I have no interest. I remember going into Home Math's forum, and he had a room just for the women. And I think that it was in the process of breaking apart, or women were going to disappear or whatever. And I remember getting in there, and I'm like, this is a very uncomfortable atmosphere. And there was a woman who worked in the oil industry, and the oil industry is very male dominated, and it's very results dominated. And she described how she had to deal with stupid humor from men, which is less offensive and just more like groan worthy, like get dad humor, except maybe a bit more ribald and that kind of thing. And another woman was like, you shouldn't just tolerate that. And she was like, well, I mean, it's my job. If I start kicking up a fuss, I'm gonna lose it. And she's like, but you need to stand up for all the women who aren't part of that job, nor will ever take it. And I'm like watching this exchange, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're forcing her to conform to your expectations. Like, and why should she have to do that? Like, why should she go out of her way to incur harm to herself? Because that's what this is. If she's just able to go to work and tolerate this shit and shrug it off with a ha ha ha, that's really funny, Todd, then she should be able to just do that. She doesn't have to constantly be an avatar of women's expectations of maintaining the vibe into every freaking, because she can live her life, right? And you can let her live her life. And she was like, oh my God, well, I don't have to listen to you. And I'm like, yes, exactly. You don't have to listen to me. She doesn't have to listen to you. And that's the thing. Like, this is the irritation that I get with women. They're so controlling. Right? And it's like and every time they start to consume each other's autonomy, they blame it on patriarchy. So they get nowhere with it. It's like one woman will pop her head above the palisade and say, hey, I actually find my problem is actually with the behavior of other women. And then she will get a volley in the face. So it's never dealt with. It's always just this endless, obnoxious, I have control over your life because you have to serve the sisterhood. I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you. I don't have to serve the sisterhood. I can be an independent actor and I can judge myself based on my behavior towards other individuals, not the fucking sisterhood. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Boy, I had a rant in me today.
A little bit. I just wanted to say something else I thought of while we were sitting here, is that because men and women do communicate differently, I think I understand that women don't understand what men are doing when they're talking to each other. And when they try to sort of like jump into a conversation between men, they only they use the tactics they think men are using, but it just comes across as insulting because that's all they pick out of men's conversations with other men. They see the aggression and the insult, but they see it like in a vacuum, like and it may not even be really a serious insult. Like, for example, and I know, just to bring it up again, but when we covered the live debate between Andrew Wilson and Natty, she was just hurling insults, right? All this passive aggression, all of these insults and at him. And he was just like, he didn't understand where it's coming from. I think it's because if you watch his debates as a woman, that's all you see is him like calling people names. That's why when people talk about the whatever podcast, all they can think of are the insults, which are probably not that frequent. And I think most of the conversation is relatively respectful. But when men argue, they're very like their stance, they're assertive. They don't apologize. They may say things that are, crass or direct or whatever, but women see that as insulting. And so when women try to be a part of the conversation, it's almost like that's the only part of the way men communicate that they pick out, and then they just start using that and they think they're winning. And it's like, but you're not saying anything of substance. You're just insulting the person. Like there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
yeah, I know what you're saying. I wanted
like women
to add
don't
to it.
get the way men. That's why, like, for example, that's why women hate Trump so much, because of the way he communicates. They think it's nothing but insults, but there's no substance. And it's like, but you're not listening to what's actually being said. You just are focused on the parts of what's being said that you don't like. So that's all you can see. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that it's because women want to be right. I actually made a joke a while back in the Discord that the problem is that women mistake women's rights for women are always right. And they get, I think, connected to being right in a way that men maybe don't. And it might be just a cultural thing, because generally, in order to lay down the emotional habits necessary for a civilization, there has to be conformity. So there has to be the one right way when you're talking about raising very young children. Otherwise, it's chaos, right? So there's this drive, I think, for women to have the one right way and be, I don't know, shield maidens of the one right way. And if you say, well, no, actually, that isn't right, there might be another right way, it becomes really, because they're all sort of competing over the same kind of territory, if that makes sense. Like, men can be right when it comes to welding, and then another man can be right when it comes to building steps, and another man can be right when it comes to fixing a computer, another man can be right when it comes to fixing a car, but there isn't that much latitude when it comes to raising very young children. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if women are, and I think they are, more evolutionarily primed to raise very young children, I don't think that men do a very bad job of it at all when they do, which is interesting. But if that's the way it is, then they would have a tendency to be much more controlling around the concept of what is right, and not really understand that people can be right in certain circumstances, wrong in other circumstances. The applications of certain solutions might be incorrect here, but correct. So I don't know if there's that flexibility. And then they take it very personally if they feel like they're not being seen as right. So they think it's an insult. Like they don't realize, they just get so ego invested in this being right, is what I'm getting at, that it becomes when you're in a debate and another person says, well, that is not right, what you're saying is not right, that's perceived as an insult. You see what I'm saying? And I think the ego investment is because there isn't as much flexibility on what is right when you're dealing with very young children and establishing the emotional habits that support a civilization. And you could sort of understand the logic behind that. But the problem is that we don't recognize these limitations at all in women. And so we don't give them the tools to overcome them depending on the circumstances they're in. Because I'm pretty sure if we said to women, hey, your automatic ego involvement in being right all the time as actually limiting you, and maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, I think Christianity probably has a few passages on that one. And it will probably improve a lot of the outcomes for these women in the various endeavors that they have. But we don't do that. We just constantly insist that whenever a man corrects the woman, that's wrong. Like somehow half the human race that is responsible for building and maintaining the systems that we enjoy is completely wrong about them. No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. No, I have X'd out. Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
To give you a sense of what it was like when she actually appeared, that she is now so traumatized by. By the way, if that's the most traumatic experience you've ever had in your life, that tells me you have had a very sheltered life, for which you should be grateful. Let's look at an actual clip from the show now.
Are you aware that men only got any rights to vote about a decade, roughly, before women?
That is not true. Men have been the founding fathers were all men, so I have no idea what you're talking
What
about.
does that have to do with the right to vote?
The right to vote was historically withheld from men of color. It was
It was also withheld from
Listen to
the
me.
general population.
Do not cut me off. Do not cut me off. I am in the middle of speaking.
I don't care if you're in the middle of speaking. You're in the middle of a debate.
The right to vote.
You don't have your TikTok mute button, sweetheart?
I will not be speaking anymore until you have a conversation with him.
All right, so she got triggered because, again, was he insulting? This is a debate, okay? This is a debate. So some of what it is, yes, you do have to rustle some jimmies to like score, a little bit. But ultimately, she tried to do the whole, well, the founding fathers were all men, therefore what? So like,
they also fought a war for the rights that they got. Well, like they didn't have those rights until they fought a war for them.
Yeah.
Like seriously, if she was a woman, okay, let's just let me try to put this into woman thought. Okay, ladies, you go out into the forest and you have a lovely day gathering nuts and berries and tubers, and then you come home and there's this dude that says, you owe me half. Do you think that you owe him half? And his logic is, because I don't have half. Like, I don't have the things that you spent all day gathering, so you owe me half of them. Okay? Does that logic fly? No. The founding fathers did the work. They put their lives in danger in order to gain the rights that didn't exist before they did the work. Why are women owed the rights that they did the work to get? That the founding fathers did the work to get, that the men did the work to get? Please inform me. What is women's right? Why do women have a right to vote? Why do women have a right to work, to labor that men do? Tell me. And furthermore, if women had the right to vote then, how are they going to make sure that they can defend it, right? Are they going to go out and with a musket and start marching in a freaking square, whatever they did at the time? I guess they were doing guerrilla warfare. Hey, women can do guerrilla warfare. Like, were women going to go out and fight for the vote? And not just the individual women who were probably trans men doing it. So don't appropriate the valor of trans men, feminists. I'm talking about all women. Are they going to go out and do the work? So why is it? And I guarantee that women are very much aware of when they do the work, that they should get 100% of the benefit of that work. And nobody else, certainly not their husband, should get any benefit from that work. What's mine is mine and what's his is mine, right? And you can't apply that to the vote. Men earned their say in the political process, and they have done so for as long as there has been a political say, a political process and a say in it. They have had to fight because, as the founding fathers show, those rights didn't exist until they fought for them. And they established them, and they said, we are going to die in the service of maintaining our rights. And you're telling me that women are owed? They aren't. Women are not owed shit. If women can understand that men aren't owed shit if women do the labor, then women can understand that women aren't owed shit if men do the labor. I mean, like, that's where I would have gone. I wouldn't have gotten into this trap of, oh, well, it was the, it was white men, black men, it was brown men, it was the Asian men. Like, I wouldn't have gotten into this trap. I'm like, who fought for the rights? What a surprise that the group that initially fought for those rights got them first. And then gradually, as other groups of men also fought to maintain those rights, they got the right to vote. I wonder why. Because they earned it until we get to the 19th Amendment. And then suddenly, nobody has to earn nothing because women are demanding it. Not even a nurse or a doctor's draft for women. Nope. Nothing. Women did nothing to earn the vote. And it shows. Now, 100 years later, it shows. Okay.
All right. Let's keep going.
I'm really
Look, if we can, for both people, if we can allow each other to finish, even if you want to jump in, just let the other person finish speaking. If somebody's going on a monologue and they're filibustering, I'll try to get them to wrap up. But just if they're making a point, just try to let them finish.
No, I did not go to school for 4 years and build a platform
I could get
to
on
be
this
talked to like this.
podcast.
So I will be.
Do you think they would accuse
Like the
me of rape?
snaps. If you went on there,
Yeah.
Roma was on there like yesterday.
Yeah?
So they flew Chloe
How'd
Roma
she do?
out to the whatever podcast. I didn't watch it. I mean, I didn't watch it, so I don't know. I haven't, like, Chloe Roma is kind of like, I know I'm not trying to be mean, but she's kind of low tier in terms of like the quality of her content, so I have no interest. Like, standing on the shoulders of giants. That's all I'm gonna say. So, but so yeah, I didn't really think there was much to it. But I know she was on there.
While pretending that she's 50 feet tall.
And yeah, that basically invented everything. Like, I want to see the eventual, like, Thunderdome with the originators of the men's movement involving Rollo Tomasi versus Roma. But yeah, I think that I didn't watch it, but I know she was on there. So this is not irrelevant because it means, like, the thing that gives me the most let's say white pills of all this is that the conversation that we've been having is, like, it is out there. Like, it is out there, and there's nothing that can stop it because it's based in truth, and a lot of men are looking for that. And so, when you consider all the people involved, different quality, like, they're all different levels, but it's out there. So
yeah, it's just, us autists, we got there first. As usual.
Yeah.
It's not men appropriating women's stuff like the feminists like to say. It's the normies appropriating the autists. I am being very facetious. Do not quote me on that.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
Just try to let them finish.
No, I did not go to school for 4 years and build a platform to be talked to like this. So I will be walking away from the microphone right now, and I would encourage you to get your guest under control. I'm going to take 2 minutes so you can ask him questions if you'd like, and I will be right back.
Because you run the show.
I just
See, now this is a tactic. He was rude to me. I'm gonna leave. This basically, I'm gonna take my ball and I'm going home. And Andrew is rightfully, and I'm sorry, but he's right. He's like, this isn't your show. You don't have control over how this thing goes. And you could leave if you want to, but you're not going to look like a winner. So, okay.
won't be back. And
I don't give a shit. What do I care? I'm here to have a debate, not listen to your whining. Do you want to have a debate or not?
all right, I'm not going to be talked to like this.
Well,
so
do you want to just take a little 2-minute breather? Do you want to take a 2-minute breather?
This is feminism? You're the strong woman? You're the strong woman?
She comes back for a bit. So I don't know if, I don't think Brad Columbo has the whole context. Allison, are you frozen? Oh no, you're
No, I'm not frozen. I'm just boggling. Yeah, but he's pretty cutthroat. He's like he goes for the identity, doesn't he? And yes,
well, yeah,
absolutely 100%. That is not an act of strength.
I mean, is he wrong though? That's all. No. That's all I care about. He's not wrong. So he's because the thing is, once you start concerning yourself with tone, you lose because these people control the tone. That's their whole thing. That's their fucking main gun is tone control. If you let them control the tone, you will lose. If you let them control the language, you will lose. You have to hold their feet to the fire. You have to. Mm-hmm. It's the only way. And yeah, they'll probably cry and spurg out or whatever, crash out. So fucking what? If you're going to, because what you are talking about affects people's lives, you want to do this through legislation, through the political will of the government and all the force that comes with that, you better bring fucking receipts. So no, I don't blame him at all for that. That's what has to happen. That's what feminism has to be destroyed. It has to be burned to the ground. And we have to if somebody hears the word, they have to basically be no, I don't want to deal with that. It has to be as bad as Nazism is. It has to be treated the same because it is the same. That's the only way. You have to
the only
give
thing
it so much.
The caveat is that it needs to be the behavior.
Well, but I'm saying
women playing the victim.
Yes.
The behavior of asserting that men oppress women, which is just basically another way of saying men are strong, women are weak, therefore men have to serve women. And all of that. The expectations that men lead, but giving them no ability to do so, meaning that all that you're doing is blaming men for women's choices. All of this, we have to look at it and we have to resolve it. And that is one of the hardest things to do because it's how people have structured their self-worth in this society. Men take self-worth from service to women, from a sense of guilt to women, and women take self-worth in being able to direct men to do shit. So when you say, no, we got to actually fix this. We got to look at it and we got to fix it because it's not serving us. People don't want to do it because that is the hardest thing for any human being to challenge is where they get their sense of self-worth from. What actions they get their self-worth from, how they arrange themselves in relation to society and other people in order to feel a sense of self-worth. That is the hardest thing to question. And as much as you say that Andrew Wilson is, putting forth the stuff that we are putting forth, which is great. The fact that we go back to that over and over again, the fact that you say, no, women have to take responsibility and men have to let go of some responsibility. That's going right into how people feel like they have worth. Men feel like they have worth when they take responsibility, and women feel like they have worth when men take responsibility from them. And when you got two weirdos on the internet saying, hey, I think that this is why the world is going to hell and is on fire, nobody wants to listen to that. Because it's just it's honestly, I think everybody here can agree that there is something wrong, and what we're saying is common sense. But when you identify your self-worth with pushing the door and not pulling it, somebody saying, hey, that door says pull, you don't want to hear it. You'll just push harder just to prove them wrong. And that's what we're up against. But on the other hand, where this particular framework of how we see men and women and the relationship between them, where this has led us is to a society that's suffering from an oversaturation of rejecting men. That's what it is. I know this is going to sound challenging, but everything that's wrong with the world, almost everything, probably not everything, but close to everything, can come back to the fact that women are over rejecting men. They're rejecting men for stupid reasons. They're rejecting masculinity because they don't want to feel like they're wrong as women. They don't want to feel like there's anything that they don't know, that there's anything that they should maybe grow from or develop or take responsibility for. That's our problem. And if we are ever going to overcome this over rejection of men, we're going to have to challenge how we take our self-worth as men and women. Women rejecting men, that's got to change. Men feeling like they're overcoming women's rejection, maybe that needs to be questioned as a source of self-worth, because it's creating a lot of, dare I say, simping. Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
This was an L for the feminist community. I mean, there's just everything about this is awful. The condescending nature of, I'm an Ivy League educated debater and I won't be spoken to like this. Okay, then you should probably be able to handle a little bit of just rough debate. Like, Andrew, I'm not a fan of Andrew Wilson. I think he has very extreme far-right political views. And
then he'd hate us.
I mean, his approach.
What?
Well, I'm just thinking that if Brad doesn't like Andrew Wilson, I think if we ever came on his radar, he'd probably get a chill up his spine. Just feel like, oh my God, the dimension is cracked open. What is that?
I don't know. I don't. Does he even know what Andrew's views are? I wonder if it isn't just because Andrew goes viral for like criticizing
all the wrong reasons.
Women, and then he looks at that and says, "Oh, misogyny must be far right." Like he just equates these things, and then he claims, "Oh, I'm not a feminist." You're literally playing into the framework. Criticizing women is far right now. I don't know if you guys know that. Also, liking women is far right. And also not wanting to be around women is far right. It's all far right. So, yeah.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It is eunuch culture. Women want men to be in their eunuch core era. They want them to be mild, soft, disinterested, hard workers who lift things. Yeah, safe. And yet, and I don't know, maybe they'll go to the forest and get a bear when they feel like danger. Okay.
Okay.
At least in this clip, is definitely kind of hostile and kind of like there is a rudeness to it, kind of a gotcha vibe to it that I don't love, and it isn't how I would prefer to engage in a debate. But the meltdown from her is proving his point, right? If his point is that like women are sensitive and weak and men are strong, it's like you didn't have to play so perfectly into the stereotype here.
Yeah, but you're missing something. If you go back over that particular conflict, he started by correcting her, right? And the thing is that feminists will gish gallop. They'll spew out a bunch of incorrect facts, and then if you don't correct them, then they just let that be the truth, and it's infuriating. That's why I like to just go at the root, which is, well, who earned the right to vote? Who earned those rights? Okay, that's why they got them first. Let's moving on.
Yep.
But they will gish gallop, and they'll spew out a whole bunch of facts. And that's what she did. She started with a false fact, and then she was just going to be like, I'm going to throw this out, going so fast that it can't be dealt with. That is a dishonest debating tactic. It's dishonest. So she started from a poor debating style, shall we say. So let's say this is an MMA. She starts out with a sneaky uppercut before the bell is even rung to start the match. So she's already starting out being a little shit. All right? That's something that he's not having in his analysis. Then when he calls her out on it, it says, hey, that's incorrect. And he didn't do so impolitely. She started throwing her weight around. So not only did she start with the sneaky uppercut, when the guy was like, hey, wait, that's not part of the rules, and I'm not going to let you get away with that. She started throwing her weight around and saying, I'm a referee on my referee on my off time. How dare you challenge? How dare you challenge my understanding of the rules? You don't understand the rules as well as I do. I know what I'm talking about. And it's like, so not only does she get a sneaky uppercut in, she then goes into a self-righteous rant why he should shut up. And then he gets a snide jab in back, and you're like, yeah, because you don't notice how she's being a shit. That when she's been a shit in the beginning, she was a shit when she was called out, and then she continued to be a shit, and he was calling her out for it. He's saying, you don't get a mute button. You don't get to mute me because I'm not on your TikTok channel. You don't get to mute me. I'm going to challenge you on all your bullshit. And he didn't even say it that way. He just did it. Okay? The fact is, he was responding to her being a little shit. And you're saying, oh, well, I don't like that. Well, no. What is he actually supposed to do? Brad? I know what he's actually supposed to do. He's supposed to suck up her shitty behavior because that's what men are supposed to do, right? And Andrew Wilson doesn't. I mean, this is the big thing. This is why he's always in the crosshairs. He does not suck up these women's shitty behavior. And if they are shitty to him, he is shitty back. He plays tit for tat, not simp for thought or whatever the hell. Simp for twat, which is what they're playing, which is if a woman's a twat, you simp. And then if she's more of a twat, you simp harder. No, Andrew Wilson is, if you're going to play shit games, I'm going to play shit games back. And as bad as you think it makes him look, it only reflects your own bias to excuse women. All right.
My dear, the feminism girl bossing didn't hit the way that we hoped it would in this clip. And unfortunately, that was kind of indicative of how the event went. The rest of the podcast, she kept like quitting and walking away and then having to be coaxed back to the table. Now, she claims that she only didn't leave because of financial manipulation or something. Let's listen to her TikTok video explaining that aspect of it, how their promise to reimburse her travel expenses was held over her head to trap her there. Let's listen to that.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and this is part 2 of my story of being harassed by incels. It has ruined my mental health so severely that I actually ended up getting Bell's palsy. I will not be naming names specifically because, again, I am scared of these people, but...
Okay, I'm pausing there. She got Bell's palsy from comments online.
Bell's palsy.
She got, yeah, and yes, that she's gonna go into it, but at one point she said she was paid a certain amount of money to go on there, and I think by someone, and she was gonna refund them, that person who paid her to go on the whatever podcast to debate. And so what she said, well, I'm not going to do this, so I'm going to return the money to that person. And then Brian Atlas, the host, he was like, well, what if we get someone to match that, one of our super chatters, so you stay? And so I think they offered her double or something. And then she was like, okay, I'll stay. And she stayed for like a little while longer and then left anyway. So she was only willing to stay because they were throwing money at her, which, by the way, that's what this has always been about. That's what feminism is. It's a fucking scam to make money. But yeah, cerebral palsy. So let me just go back again. This is crazy.
Specifically because, again, I am scared of these people, but you can do your research. I was misled by these people and told that I would be reimbursed for traveling out to California from Chicago. I was not, and I have yet to receive any money. I am out $1,000 from my appearance on this podcast, and still every day I am harassed by their fans online, telling me that I got owned, when in reality I was disrespected blatantly to my face and made to feel unsafe. These people.
Are you fucking... Oh, good. That was disrespect, was it?
She called the people who went to her comments. She just threw it out there. She just said they were incels. We don't even know. Like, she just said that. This is like how they use this
She's
word.
She's threat narrativing. Basically, she got called out. Like, and he wasn't going to let her gish gallop. He wasn't going to let her throw shit out in order to terraform the environment to suit herself. She got called on it. She threw a fit, started throwing her weight around like a thug, and he called her out on that, and then she rage quit. And presumably there was no more progress to be had after this. And now she's threat narrativing around how she's a victim. And yet, if she was the recipient of her own behavior, she would know that she was being a disrespectful shitheel. And she would be threat narrating about herself if she had received her own behavior. And it's like, lady, if you're going to go in and act and play dirty, don't be offended when somebody says you're playing dirty and you don't get to do this on this platform because you don't have a mute button. Right? It's this and then to say, oh, good grief. Okay, let's just keep. Well, this is sorry. We're going to be here forever if I keep ranting over this.
All right, let's go.
We're talking about harming women. They were drinking alcohol on set and making me feel generally very uncomfortable and unsafe, as well as prolonging my duress by holding money and financial gain over my head because they kept trying to
financial gain. You
they
don't
were holding it over my head.
Financial gain.
They were jingling the keys of financial gain, and that's abuse. Also, they were drinking and smoking.
But aggressively, Brian.
Aggressively drinking. Again, they do this on the show. She knows that. Like, I think that if they get over a certain amount in a super chat, they pop a bottle of champagne, and everybody at the table can drink it if they want to. You know, it's optional. That's a normal thing they do on there. So
I'm having a very really uncharitable thought. I mean, if she really wanted to win the argument, she could have just pushed him over and sat on him.
Oof. Okay.
Just saying. Okay.
Conditions in the contract that they wouldn't pay me unless I stayed till the end. On the live stream, people would send in money and be like $10 to put a sock in her mouth, slap the bitch, $20, and a bunch of other things. I was obviously scared that they would take the money and harm me. And at the end,
my God!
Can you imagine? Not the argument?
Slap the bitch. A super chat comes in. Andrew gets out of his chair. Come on camera, live, really? Oh God!
No, she's thinking about it.
No, she wants. She wants to use
anything to be play the victim of this in order to establish her emotional dominance over it. It's a very old playbook, and then it's because she cannot actually support her position. I could probably argue the feminist position better than she could. All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
they didn't pay me a single cent.
Okay. So again, I am not buying the melodrama here that you were tricked into appearing on this podcast. It is not their fault you didn't Google it and watch a couple episodes before going on. If you did, you would have known exactly what to expect. You would have known that they do belittle their female guests sometimes in ways that I don't support and don't think are healthy or productive. They do.
Oh God, dude, stop. They go on there to be belittled on purpose because they want to drive people to their OnlyFans. Well, when it happens, okay, and the thing is too, a lot of women do that to other women on there. It's not just men that are like, oh, I don't have anything to do there. I think I want to go on whatever podcast and shit on a bunch of
Before we get
real
on a tear, and agreeing with this guy because she calls it belittling. If a man behaved in the way that these women did, what would they do to him? Would they belittle him?
At least they probably get a lot more.
He'd get a lot more shit.
Yeah,
he might get have his head shoved in a toilet, get a swirly if he was that dumb. All right, so this isn't belittling them because they're women. In fact, they're getting kit glove treatment because they're women. Because if men went on this podcast and said the things that these women say, they get worse treatment.
Well, male feminists have been on that podcast, and they have gotten worse treatment. But those clips don't go viral, Allison.
Of course not, because it doesn't buy into the narrative of the virulent misogyny against women. Ugh. Like I wish that they would get like one of the Karen. Well, Karen probably wouldn't go on because she doesn't want to travel, but like get a female MRA to go after these women.
Well, Roma was on there, but again, I don't know. I didn't watch it. I watched a little bit of it. I got bored and I left it. She did. From what I saw, she was not very confrontational or combative. I think it was just like they were just vibing there, and I was like, okay, this is going nowhere. I got bored because watching women talk gets boring because there's even when it's supposed to be about something really contentious, they never get to it because everyone's like laying the pillows out. So you don't really. Even Brian Atlas was away from his computer for a while.
Get someone more savage on. Like, if you're gonna have a woman have Pearl on.
Pearl has been on, I think. And also, there's this comedian, this female. It was a while ago. I don't really remember. I'm sure it was. And also there's a comedian named Leonardo Joni, who's like one of the most like censored comedians, like women on the internet. But she was on there, and she was a lot more like no kid gloves. But again, I don't think a lot of her content went viral. A lot of it comes down to. Yeah, because it's a woman holding other women accountable. I don't think that stuff goes viral as much. And it's the stuff where men are being held their feet to the fire doesn't go viral either because nobody gives a shit. Like, okay, he got schooled in this particular subject, but nobody cares enough to share it around like, oh my God, look what they did to this guy. No, nobody cares. So.
Somebody says Roma is more of a feminist than an MRA.
Yes, I know. We've said that. I mean, she knows a lot of the MRA talking points, but she's definitely got more of a feminist, sympathetic side. I don't know how to put it, but definitely like a blue-pilled anti-feminist or a blue-pilled MRA. Let's put it that way. Is that fair? You guys think she's like a blue-pilled men's rights activist? Because she's very concerned with how her message makes women feel. So it's something you're going to have to confront at some point. But yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just can't care because the thing is, it can't be about how women feel. As soon as it is, you lose.
Yeah.
It has to be about what women do.
Yeah.
Can't be about how women feel. It has to be about what women do. And if you don't understand the difference, then I can't help you. You're going to be part of the mass dissolving, shall we call it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's
keep going.
Antagonize their female guests, and so I guess sometimes their male guests as well, And it's not
Sometimes.
like a super
What are you talking about?
Or
Yeah,
super
I'm gonna work on my
substantive.
camera here for a sec, but so just keep
Okay.
going and responding.
All right.
That said, you should have known that. You also should have known that no one gets assaulted on they don't punch or hit people. That's not a thing that happens on their show, and you had no real reason to believe that it would. Now, as for the expenses, listen, if I ran the podcast, if I was this Brian guy, I would probably reimburse her just because she did come all the way out there. You did get the views and clicks that you were hoping for. But in his defense, they had an agreement, a written agreement that she would come and complete the podcast and he would reimburse her. And she left early and
both sides. No, she did not live up to her end of the deal. She doesn't deserve any money. And I guarantee you that her crying on TikTok about this probably got a bunch of people to send her money. So she's fine, dude. She's going to be just fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
She broke a contract. It was an agreement. She didn't go through with it. Why would he give her anything? He doesn't have to.
Multiple times disrupted the podcast. She didn't stay till the end. She didn't really hold up her end of the deal. So it's not the craziest thing in the world that you would refuse to reimburse her. I would probably still reimburse if I was him, especially to take away, you know, whatever tiny bit of legitimate grievance she might have to garner sympathy in this fallout. But I don't think he's crazy for not wanting to reimburse her when she didn't hold up her end of the bargain, which again, she should have known what she was signing up for by doing basic due diligence. And it's not his fault if she agreed to do something that she was not emotionally or mentally strong enough to actually fulfill and yet expects the full benefits of the contract. Ironically, that doesn't seem very feminist to me. The feminist position would be that men and women are equal and that a woman is just as capable of fulfilling her obligations and being held to account to the agreements she signs up to.
You sweet summer child. Oh, that doesn't sound like feminism that I read about. That's weird. She's not living up to the standard that she has. I'm sorry. I don't mean to shit on this guy. I know he's like a normie dude that's talking about this, but when I hear people say, "Oh, that's odd. What would it be like if the shoe was on the other foot? This is weirdly hypocritical. Brr, brr, brr. What if a man did that?" It's
How
so
long have you
boring.
been here?
It's like, you know, that doesn't sound very feminist.
John Doe says Roma is worried about misogyny in the MRM.
Yeah, she's made videos about it.
Yeah, because she again is concerned about how things make women feel as opposed to being concerned about what women do. You know, my concern is that what women do and the consequences of what women do is sacrificed for how women feel. And not only do I find that unbelievably patronizing, I think it's toxic. And I would consider that to be misogyny. I want to know. I don't care. Don't flatter my feelings. I want to know the truth. Right? I want to know the truth. I don't want to live in this vibe of lukewarm vomit or amniotic fluid that women seem to want to exist within. Just tell me the truth. Just tell it to me straight. Be honest. That is more respect than whatever Roma wants for women. And if you can't do that, then how can you be part of a solution? Like, the problem is that women are not being held accountable for their half of holding up the sky. If telling women that makes them feel uncomfortable and you're not allowed to make women feel uncomfortable, how do you solve the problem? You're just a distraction. I'm sorry, you just got to be able to blame women and you got to be able to say, suck it up, buttercup, when they're upset. And yes, you need to uphold your contractual duties. If you sign a contract, you should do your half. And even though this guy would be like, oh, I'd pay her, maybe she can learn a lesson from this. All right. And that's actually why I think Pearl more than Roma, because Pearl doesn't seem to think that she's not operating in the sphere of I need to care about what women feel. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as Pearl in terms of just tearing women down, because that's not my focus. My focus is on getting women to take responsibility for the things that they need to take responsibility for so we can have a functional society. Whereas Pearl seems to delight in being a gadfly and instigating shit and trolling the overinflated egos of the modern woman, which, you know, I can understand. It's just not my focus. Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
Instead, she seems to want the best of both worlds, that nobody can hostily debate her the same way they would a man. She can still get her end of the deal without having to fulfill her obligations. Like, ironically, it doesn't seem actually equal at all. But here's the part where things
so weird. Like, it's almost like they don't want equality. Do they understand what equality is?
Feminist is using feminism when it benefits her ego and abandoning it when it doesn't. My God, that doesn't seem feminist.
Hey, that doesn't sound like equality. Look, Brad, I don't have anything against you, but you're clearly like new to this whole thing called These People Don't Care About Hypocrisy. So they care about hierarchy, they care about power.
If feminists cared about equality, they would have started their entire movement by looking at the situation for men in society and historically with the same concern and rigor as they attempted to find women's victimhood, and they did not. From the very start, feminism wasn't about equality and never acted like it was. Right? You know, if the suffragettes were honest, the suffragettes were honest about equality, they would have recognized that men had to serve their country and protect the rights that they often didn't even have before they did protect them in order to get those rights. Right? They would have recognized that. Instead, they handed out white feathers for shaming men for not paying the price for being a male citizen. They didn't even have the vote at the time. The suffragettes shamed men for not paying the price for a vote they didn't have, while shaming men for not having a vote that they never paid the price for. That's not equality, and it never was. Their first act was a massive inequality. It was an act of creating massive inequality that, incidentally, most women were against, maybe partly for that reason. Right? So feminists always were about inequality in favor of their brand of womanhood, because not every woman agreed with them. And at the time they were championing, or they were doing terrorist acts to try to force the vote, most women disagreed with them. Now most women agree with them because we've had a century of chipping away at the relationship between men and women, leading to massive amounts of miserable single women who are statistically far more miserable than married women. Right? Miserable single women whose only hope in life, I guess, is to advocate for policies that are insane and expand their misery. So here we are. It was never about equality.
No, sorry. We'll figure it out at some point, but yeah.
Totally lose the plot, because I'm not without any sympathy for her experiences here. They definitely weren't nice to her. And if she didn't know that's what she was signing up for, if she's not used to this kind of, you know, verbal jousting and hostile debate, I wouldn't be fazed by it because I've done it many times. Again, she should have looked into it before agreeing to do it, but I can understand how that would be a very jarring and upsetting experience for someone. Here's where she totally 100% loses me.
I'm pausing it there again. So I was gonna say,
I mean, she lost me when she opened her mouth, but go ahead.
yeah. There was something he said that I wanted to comment on, but I want to go back a little bit and listen again.
Because I'm not without any sympathy for her experiences here. They definitely weren't nice to her. And if she...
Oh yeah, that's the thing I wanted to comment on. So it's interesting because I think that when men are, let's say, direct or even rude or crass with each other, we can see it. Like it's on the surface, it's right there. But when women do it, they do it while being nice. So I think what I'm seeing is, I wonder if Brad knows that woman, when she said, like, you know, all this stuff about like, oh, it was white men and like, I will not put up with that. Like, she wasn't being nice. She was being like hostile in a very like passive way. She was very combative. And I wouldn't even be bothered by that. Like, I mean, it wouldn't matter because like I said, they are there to debate. There's going to be bants. There's going to be, you know, some kind of, it's intended to be combative. Like that's the framing of it. But it's funny that he doesn't see her way of communicating as, you know, let's say not nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and actually her way of communicating is much worse. And I'll tell you why. He's banting. He's using bans. Like that whole, you don't have your Twitter mute button, sweetheart. Yeah. That's bans. She's using dehumanizing rhetoric. And when I use the word dehumanizing, it's actually a misnomer to call it dehumanizing, because when we target a group of people for callous, cruel, and violent actions, we don't dehumanize them. We frame them as criminal. So what she's doing is she's framing him as criminal. So she is engaging in targeting him for war. She's targeting him with war propaganda, basically. So propaganda that you would use in order to justify taking away someone's rights, taking away someone's freedom, incarcerating them, destroying them, killing them, and doing all sorts of antisocial things to them. So she's leveling that rhetoric against him. And nobody is prepared to realize that makes her the monster. The instant she started doing that, she became the moral monster. He's engaging in bants. He's engaging in calling her on the mat, right? Right? They're having their philosophical MMA fight. She's the one that's brought a shiv, right? And is prepared to use it to stab him to death. To a fight, an MMA fight that's supposed to go by certain rules, like you're not there to kill your opponent. She is a savage thug, right? And she's there engaging in savage thuggery. And nobody sees that, because we feel like it's okay for women to use rhetoric that frames men as criminal. We think it's okay, even though we now know that that kind of rhetoric is the most dangerous rhetoric, period. Like that is, if there is anything that is hate speech, that is it. To frame a group of people as inherently criminal, not recognize that, you know, they have a higher percentage of criminality or that, you know, whatever, but to frame them as inherently criminal. That's the kind of rhetoric you use in war, right? And she is directing that against him. At that point, she should probably have been escorted off. She should probably have been told, right? This is a place where people engage in safe debate, not a place where you get to come in and start threatening people with extreme violence, right? That is probably where I would have gone with that, because what she's doing is horrific. And nobody realizes this. Nobody notices this, because again, we seem to just give women a pass on framing men as criminal, and somehow that's justified. But that is like, if you had a hierarchy of harms that you can do with your mouth, that's on the very top. So she starts this whole thing basically pulling a gun on him. And then he's like, no, I'm not going to respond to that. And then she plays the victim, just like a little Hun, right? Just like a little Mongol, or well, you know, like somebody who's an aggressive person on a horse. Sorry. Just like a desperado. She comes in guns akimbo, and nobody calls her out on it. Nobody says, you know what? That's bad cricket. And they really should. Like, I mean, if they're going to call out anything, when women start with the threat narrativing and start with framing men as criminal, they should say, stop. You are engaging in violence. The only type of wordage that could really be considered violence, which is what's consistent with wartime propaganda. If they really want to play this game, I mean, sure, let her say it, but call it out. Call it out for what it is. You are attacking Andrew Wilson very right to exist, right? And then this guy's like, well, I think that he was a little. She's attacking his very right to exist, right? She's attacking his very right to exist. All he's responding to is keep to the facts, ma'am, and bants. Are you fucking mental? It's like going into, let me try a different way of it. It's like going in and saying that someone who pulled a gun is equivalent to, I don't know, somebody who simply said, what are you going to do, man? And then the guy pulls a gun. And then you're saying, oh my God. And it's not, in fact, she pulled the gun first. And then let's say the guy's really good and he manages to disarm her. And this dude comes in and he's like, oh my God, you both are wrong. You both are wrong. You both are wrong. No, she pulled the gun. At that point, she basically said, I'm not here. I'm not here for your debate. I'm here to slaughter you, Andrew Wilson. And then she comes in and says, oh, they're both. I could see how he was being mean. And you don't see how she was being absolutely grotesquely brutal. Okay. And this, like I said, this is what gets me every time. It's like the women do this and nobody calls them out on it. It's not even like you're talking about, oh, she's being passive aggressive. That's one thing. But she came right out of the gate with a gun. Oh, your men are criminals. And they know. Okay, right. All right. So you're already starting with the most extreme act of social ostracization. At that point, the fact that Andrew Wilson disarmed her. Yeah, no, I don't think these things are equivalent. I don't think they are. Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
Didn't know that's what she was signing up for. If she's not used to this kind of, verbal jousting and hostile debate, I wouldn't be fazed by it because I've done it many times.
Again, just imagine this guy is describing a situation where someone walks into a room with a gun pulled and some other guy actually manages to disarm him. And she's like, well, I don't think she knew that she was going into a hostile situation. She was the hostile situation. Good Lord. And she's continuing to pull more and more guns on this guy.
Yeah.
To do it, but I can understand how that would be a very jarring and upsetting experience for someone. Here's where she totally 100%.
Oh my God, it's so jarring and upsetting that she got her gun taken away from her before she got to use it.
Men being mean to her on a podcast feels like the same thing as rape, as sexual assault. Seriously, that's what she said. Listen to this.
That's exactly what going on this podcast felt like. It made me feel violated in so many ways, disrespected.
Yeah, and essentially what's happening now is, like I said, she's trying to frame them as criminal.
She's pulling out the bazooka. She's pulling out like the orbital satellite laser that is sexual assault allegations. Yes.
It's not good enough that she threatened Andrew Wilson. Now she's threatening the entire podcast. And this is so funny because she's like the gunslinger who walked in, got disarmed, and then he's like, I'm going to go get my posse and we're going to kill that town. And then everybody's like, oh my God, she's so hurt. No.
Yep.
She's
it's
a
the
fucking
Frieza death ball. Like she's holding it up and she's going to throw it at the whatever podcast and all of the red pill bros, as she would frame
she's going to try. But then everybody's here like, oh, why are you treating this creature like a precious flower? Like she went into a hostile situation. She was the hostile situation. And she's expanding the grounds of hostility. Like a freaking psycho. Like she's we're into Cold War territory, guys. It's time for nuclear arms escalation. Good Lord. Right. And everybody's like, oh my God, she's so harmed. Really. She's harmed by this. I don't see any harm for her. I see a lot of harm that she's attempting to direct at Andrew Wilson in the whatever podcast. And who knows, maybe she'll be successful. Maybe she'll be successful in her campaign of destruction.
It's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
Disrespected and used. In addition to them having me fly across the country.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God, the desperado lost her gun to somebody who disarmed her. She's so disrespected. How dare? How dare? When she came in with the gun, how dare they fight back?
Notice that she crammed in also that she was used. Like this is like that she got used, guys. She volunteered and agreed to fly out there to debate this guy. There was even money on the table for her to do it. She crashed out and left early, did not get compensated because she didn't do the thing that she was supposed to do, which is essentially stay there for the full conversation. And now she feels used, like discarded. Like this is all part of the whole rape narrative around this. They raped me and they threw me aside. Like, I mean, does this, maybe she's into that. I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of a fantasy going on here too, but I don't know.
It's possible. There's always,
could be a kink. Just saying. Could be a kink.
We could be seeing a kink playing out, but I think more likely what we're seeing is the process of attempted nuclear annihilation. She's gathering her arsenal and she's going to go after the whatever podcast and Andrew Wilson. And and as she does this, everybody's not going to notice that she is the aggressor. She is the hostile situation. She is the monster in the room. She is Genghis Khan. She is Adolf Hitler. She is everything. She is the will to power and the will to make others suffer in order to gain and keep your power. And nobody recognizes it because she a girl.
Yep.
All right.
Me back, which they didn't. I made them so much money that they asked me to come back 3 times within 24 hours. And when I told them to pay me back, they sent me a threatening, abusive email. Felt not like a human being. I was harassed on the basis of being a woman, told that I was stupid.
Okay, so you're basically turning men into criminals, but you're the one who doesn't feel like a human being. Okay, so why wouldn't she show the actual content of the letter? Maybe there was like a lawyer's thing.
No, she's not showing the letter. She's showing like the
she's showing her
academic. Yeah. Her claims to victimhood. It's the backup.
She's bolstering her claims of victimhood.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Apparently,
this kind of abuse is depression, disruptions in close relationship, loss of interest in sex, and fear and anxiety causing physical, mental, and behavioral reactions, all of which may lead the assault survivor to feel as though he or she has no control over her life. Some information obtained from the Medical University of South Carolina. So she's basically saying, I'm experiencing these feelings, and these feelings are also associated with people who have experienced sexual assault. Therefore, I've experienced sexual assault. It's inverted logic. Do you see that? She's saying, I feel this way. And then she looks and sees, oh, people who feel sexual assault feel this way. Well, then I must have felt sexual assault.
Talked over. You asserted something incorrect. He corrected you, and that was talking over.
Yeah.
Talked down to, and I was made to cry 2, 3, 4 times. I went open to the back and just sobbed. I really tried to stay to the end because I wanted to be reimbursed for all the expenses, but I couldn't. I've done debate for 9 years, so I know things could get heated. That wasn't debate. That was
what?
I felt like I was sexually assaulted after the next.
Are you? Even the normies aren't with you at this point, lady. I think you may have overplayed your hand.
You victimhooded too close to the sun.
Again, like in my ideal world, as soon as a woman brought up the whole allegations of criminality and dehumanization, I'd be like, yeah, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to pull a gun in like a freaking, I don't know, monk debate and say I win. But this is astounding. Like you've even lost the normies, lady. That's impressive. And wow. Okay. You know, we can't recognize male victims of sexual assault by women, but we can recognize that being told that you don't have a Twitter mute or a TikTok mute button is sexual assault for women. Like we can't recognize like 12-year-old boys being raped by their teachers, but we can recognize this as sexual assault. That's astounding. Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
I've been assaulted twice, and I woke up feeling that same sense of sadness and violation and emptiness. Yeah.
So this is breathtaking in its insanity. I'll of course say that I have tremendous sympathy and compassion for her that she was assaulted twice.
Can I pause there for a second? Considering her standards for being assaulted are so low, I'm pressing X doubt on her previous experiences too. Just saying, if you're willing to say that somebody disagreeing with you on a podcast means you were sexually assaulted, and then to back that claim, you say you've been sexually assaulted multiple times before, I have to question what the standards were for those experiences as well. So no sympathy. I don't believe you. I mean, you lied.
Well,
you lied about this. No, I don't believe her.
You know, you can believe her, but maybe the previous sexual assaults was some dude being like, who knows? Just saying.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't believe her. Like,
you.
it could be a guy just saying, you know, like a fucking dude at a construction site that whistled at her or something. Could be a dude that, like, you know, got in, like, she was in line and he got in line behind her and somebody behind him bumped and he bumped into her body because they were bumped and he apologized for it, but she was still like, oh my God, I'm assaulted. It could have been a homeless guy that's ranting in her general direction. God knows what. It could have been a woman. You know, like, who knows? But like, because you cannot logically like determine the difference between somebody disagreeing with you on a podcast
and sexual
assault, then any claims of sexual assault that you make after that don't mean anything to me. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. It could have been a commercial that you didn't like. You could have been watching a commercial that was too sexual. I'm sorry, but no, I'm not buying.
Somebody wore a shirt. Wore a shirt with
somebody wore a shirt that said "Pussy Inspector." Like it. Like, no, I'm not buying it. Done. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Like, when you have to start by saying, first of all, I just feel all kinds of heart pours out for your experience. I don't buy it. Don't do it. That's how you lose, because they'll use it against you. Well, they're going to use it against you. Yeah.
It's not relevant to this here. And the other thing is that how does this justify you pulling a gun on Andrew Wilson?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Anyway.
Horrible. No one should have to go through it. Far too many women, and some men, but particularly women do.
However, no, not particularly women. There is no way you can actually assert that, Brad.
Yeah. Very blue pill take. Well, wait, are we talking about sexual assault? Okay, first of all, women are the biggest victims. First, before we even move on, guys, are you listening? Women are the biggest victims of that, and some men, but mostly women. Okay, all right. Do I still have my job? Am I alive? Cops, are they at the door? No. Okay, now I will move on. Now that I've established that I'm a decent guy by saying women are the primary victims, now I can get to the actual thing I want to talk about.
It's so funny because people like this will admit that men don't report sexual assault, but in the same breath say, but we know exactly how many men are. You guys are full of ridiculous contradictions that you really need to sit down and think about. And I know why you're full of ridiculous contradictions, which you never think about, because this dude sees himself in terms of benefiting women and women's emotions, just like most men do. Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
Absurd and actually deeply insulting to your fellow survivors of abuse to compare being talked over or told you're stupid or having people be unkind to you in a debate.
Did they even tell her
sexually assaulted? That is totally inaccurate, totally disingenuous and unfair, wild and basic.
What?
Okay, do you have another time code? Because I think he's just gonna grind
the
this
end. That's the end. Yeah.
The
I mean,
rest
this
of
is the last bit of this. Well, he talks about something else. But
okay,
this
that's
goes
fair.
until like one more minute. I think like one more minute.
Well, it's good. Like I said, it's good to get a pulse on the normies. Figure out where they are. Yeah. This is gonna get worse, guys, because she's going to make it so that this sticks. The femosphere is now turning around and looking at this. You realize that now? In your little yurt on the side of Mount Everest, that's the manosphere. The femosphere is starting to get into position with its death laser. It's like they're gonna.
Apparently, there's a super child stuck in the tubes.
Okay, let me jostle the tubes.
Go clear it out so we can look at it. There's like one more minute. I'll let him say his final piece.
Okay, sure.
This accusation to lob at someone, and also really invalidating and downplaying to the actual survivors of SA and what they go through. Like, that is horrible to say that.
I mean, you already said rape in the podcast. Why say SA after that?
Normal, unpleasant social interactions are the same thing as what they went through. No, they are not. And you, of all people, as a feminist and as a survivor, should know better than that. That is laughable. That is frankly despicable rhetoric to use. Totally disingenuous, trying to shut down debate and garner sympathy for yourself on the backs of your fellow survivors while diminishing what they went through to score political points after crumbling, really, in a kind of pathetic manner in a debate. She loves to talk about her Ivy League degrees and her TikTok videos and all her years of debate. I have never been less impressed with somebody's ability to debate in my life. And
okay, that's it. Basically a super normie take on this. It's fine, it's fine. He puts feminists in quotes like she's not a real one, but she basically is. That's what it is. That's what it is, guy. It's not some like aspirational form of feminism that you're not seeing play out. That's what it is. So this is the real deal.
What is this? Okay. Like, there's somebody in the special chat, and they're saying, "Oh Lord, Trump, save from the liberal, protect us from the woke mind virus, deliver us from the gay, from this darkest of night, bring us the brightest of day. To Lord Trump, we pray." Then Simon says, "They got real people thinking anyone can have a podcast. This is sad. Please stop and welcome Trump into your heart." Well, that was strange. Okay.
That's bait.
Yes, bait.
It's bait.
Can I not welcome Trump into my heart?
It's just bait, Allison. Don't take the bait.
Yeah. But I mean, can I just be like, I think he's okay on some things and not okay on others? And just be like, yeah, politician. Brian likes Trump, I think, still. But we have different opinions, basically, Simon. All right, let's move on.
All right, I got a super chow from Richard Bier for 5, and he says, I remember seeing a short clip where a younger feminist was declaring that women weren't allowed to have bank accounts until the 1980s now. In the future, the declaration will be that women weren't allowed bank accounts and credit cards until the 1990s. Yeah, it's a constantly shifting section of time. So it's always like 20 years ago, no matter what year it is. So, yeah.
It's now
at this point, it's
the
actually the 2000s when women lost when they finally gained the right to have credit cards. Yeah.
Or no, they have to shift it. So now they've shifted it like to the 70s. I'm pretty sure women had bank accounts in the 1920s. I'm very sure that women had bank accounts in the 1920s. I'm not so sure that bank accounts really worked the way you think they did, to be honest. I think for a good portion of like the 18th and the 19th and 20th centuries, it was really being able to take out credit at stores, not bank accounts. That was the big thing. Bank accounts was more for like really rich people with lots of property. All right. So has he elaborated upon his?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. A little bit of a soft landing, I guess, but we got our rants out. I mean, yeah, again, like he has like a very blue pill perspective on feminism. So he's like, wow, this one's hypocritical. She must not be a feminist.
Yeah, somebody said in the horizontal, now he's making some sense. Should have started with that. Yeah, well, we had to lay out the pillows for women's feels. I swear to fucking God, I'm going to burn those pillows one day.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to? Why does the human race have to go at the speed of women's feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that the limiting factor? But anyway, that's basically that. I mean, he's just going at the speed of women's feelings. So he has to lay out all of the caveats before he gets to the actual criticism of this specific woman, which will be treated as a criticism of all women.
Yep.
Do you know that I tweeted out the UN? Did I tell you about this?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. Whatever you're going to say, I don't know. How long ago was it? What is it?
Yesterday, I did a tweet. Let me just get that tweet up. Looks like I have to sign in or something. Just give me a second here. I think I put it in Ask Allison, maybe? No, it would probably be in the main chat. I will find this tweet and I will hand it to you so you can take a look at it. It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
It was to UN women.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, it just took a moment. I had to find it. And I think, it actually got some legs on it. Crazy. Do you have it up?
Any job? Yeah, it's sharing it now. Any job is a woman's job. Any job is a woman's job.
That's
Any
from
job
UN
is a
women.
woman's job. From UN women, yeah.
That's from UN.
Except taking accountability. That's a man's job. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Did that
Oh,
hit
you
a
get
nerve.
called to pick me? Did they pick
I
you
did.
yet?
Yeah, of course.
Did you pick you? I am so smart. I called you a pick me. Yay. Okay. Okay.
But look at this. Okay, I want you to see. This has got 66. Number of the beast. Likes. Look at what UN Women's got. If you click on it,
66,000 isn't the number of the beast. 4,000 ratioed. Yeah.
I'm looking at mine go up and up and up, and I'm like, have I done a hate crime? By ratio, UN Women with its 4 million fucking 2 million subscribers. Oh yeah, this is headmistress. Men accountability. Is this misandry? And what I responded to this, because they always go with, well, men don't take accountability. And the way I responded to that was, men take accountability. Like, they expect men to take accountability for all human ills because those human ills continue to exist. Right? That's what men need to take accountability for. Even though men are primarily the ones who are fighting those human ills, and women are probably half as responsible for them. But it's men who need to take responsibility for that. And that's what they mean when men are shirking accountability. It's because men aren't taking responsibility for human evil, the existence of human evil, and the fact that they haven't stopped it.
They get really upset by this. They really don't like this, but they don't have anything against it. It's just Cope in there.
I also pointed out that this, like, the people who are getting upset believe a philosophy in which men are the ones who are primarily, if not solely, responsible for all of society and everybody's actions in it because of patriarchy. So women always have a get out of jail free card when it comes to any kind of social criticism, a get out of jail free card for any kind of personal action that they take because it's patriarchy acting through them or some shit. It's like, and these people are telling me, oh, well, men don't take accountability. Yeah, because you're expecting men to take accountability for literally fucking everything, including women's half of all shitty behavior. Yeah, so I thought that was fun because it really, like, it got legs. I don't know if it's gonna get much higher, but especially compared to the original, really hit a nerve, this one. Anyway, there you go. I'm doing my job.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, we're done? What's going on?
Yeah, I guess so, unless you have anything further to say.
No, I think we covered it. I mean, this is like, I'm just glad that this conversation is going where it's going. I'm glad that it's getting out there and more people are basically not able to ignore it anymore.
You know what?
And I think the discussion about men is inevitable too. Inevitable.
Yeah. You know what else? I was actually thinking after the conversation we had with all those commies, Olive Shoes commies.
Were they
I was
Shoes
actually
commies?
thinking, oh, I don't know. Well, we did the video on Shoe, and then all the commies came.
Yeah, they just spawned
we had
in.
a conversation. They just spawned in, and so we were chatting with them. And I was actually chatting. We were going back and forth, and then it occurred to me that they might actually have a point. They never make this point, but they actually might have a point. And this is the point. And I'll throw it out there because it'll maybe make people think. Their point, and this actually, no, this is my point. Speaking as a commie, LARPing as a commie for a moment. Now, what we've seen throughout history is that we have this kind of this productive kind of breeding colony situation where people want to exchange goods and be able to avail themselves of their neighbor's productivity without like a direct one-to-one exchange. So it's like something to keep track of what everybody owes so that we can just move products around really efficiently, right? But what ends up happening is there's always a group of people, the moneylenders, that parasitize on the system because it requires some way of keeping track of these transactions. Either it's like a central bureaucracy or like in Sumer or those old Bronze Age, places, or it's some kind of money that's starting to change hands. But either the central bureaucracy takes its cut, or the people who make the money end up getting in there and starting to parasitize off of these exchange. So they provide an essential service, which is being able to keep track of all of these exchanges, but they end up taking more and more and more of the lifeblood out of the economy that requires something to exchange in, right? And I was thinking, if, and this is the big if, right? If people could just, as they say, give according to their abilities according to their needs, then we wouldn't need a monetary exchange that inevitably seems to be parasitized by some class of people that controls it. Like right now, that's the Federal Reserve, the government, the too big to fail corporations, and all of that. And I mean, that if you present it that way, if we could just solve that problem, we would never be parasitized by the money lenders ever again. If you put it that way, it's a nice thought. It is something that would be cool to aim for. However, the problem with it is this: it still comes back to the same thing that I was bringing up before. The existence of this monetary exchange works because it piggybacks off of men's desire for developing a pro-social identity. In specific, it's the one that anthropologists or ethnologists have identified all around the world, which is this idea of the generous man who's able to give bigly of himself. That's what men are doing by participating in the system and acquiring more wealth within the system. If you just make it so it's all through generosity, that could work if it's within a kin group, but I don't think it works outside of that. So we're still back to the same problem. However, I sympathize with that because it would get rid of the money lenders forever. And yeah, so I was thinking that might be a way of looking at it, but it still has the same problem. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm done.
Okay.
Something to chew on. All right. So if you want to send us a message anytime, even after the show is over, we'll still get it and we'll still talk about it in the next reasonable show. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. If you want to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support. Big shout out, thank you to Richard. He actually added 2 tips for $500 each.
Nice. Thank you, Richard.
Yes, thank you. Which it's actually I sort of arranged with him. I'm gonna get a dog cart for Scipio. And Richard's convinced that it's not going to work.
A dog cart?
Yes, that he can pull. Richard's convinced it's not going to work. And that what will end up happening is that I will be pulling the dog, not the dog pulling me. And so now I have to prove him wrong. So that's what that's about. But anyway, thank you, Richard, very much for that. And
how much do dog carts cost?
They're not cheap because you have to. I'm getting them from a U.S. company, so I don't want to get a Chinese dog cart. I don't want to be eating asphalt.
A Rick Paw?
A Rick Paw. You win the stream.
You put a coolie hat on him and.
Dog carts. The one that I'm looking at is like $500 American.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of expensive, and I that's about the cost that it'll be. For one, if you're thinking of getting one for JoJo.
No.
No, you don't want to be going tooling down Roanoke with your dog cart.
No. JoJo.
He might be a little bit. He might be a little bit.
He's not. He
might be a little light for a dog cart.
Yeah, he's a smaller dog for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Scipio's got the muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, it should work. But anyway, so that's when I'll show you guys video. We'll see if it works. I've been training him. We've been doing like the Rocky thing. I've been taking him on a bike and having him run beside the bike and then in front of the bike, so he gets used to something being behind him. And then and he's been keeping up. He's going the distance. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, if you want to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support. Any amount is very much appreciated. $5, $10, it all gets us over the end. And if you want to join us, join our community, badgernation.online. It's all in low bar too. We are doing a meetup September 13th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So put that on your calendar and hopefully we'll see you there. And I'll hand it back to you, Brian.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.